The Senate will come to order. Now let's officially welcome Senator Brophy back. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members and guests, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Jimenez, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman,
Absent.
Todd, Ulibarri, Woods, Mr. President.
Here. With 34 present, 1 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Sonnenberg, please add Senator Stedman to the roll. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal for March 9th be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the well-articulated motion today. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is approved. The journal is adopted. Committee reports.
March 9, 2015, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1048 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. March 9, 2015, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 180 be referred to the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. March 9, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology has had consideration and has had hearing on the following appointments. Recommends the appointment be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the Special Funds Board for Workers' Compensation Self-Insurers for a term expiring July 1st, 2018. Victoria McComb of Colorado Springs, Colorado, manager or employee of self-insured employers in good standing with knowledge of risk management and finance appointed. March 9, 2015, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 175 be referred to the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
March 10, 2015, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 122, correctly revised, House Bill 1060, 1092, 1117, 1122, and 1192.
Message from the House.
March 9, 2015, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the Advisory Statute, House Bill 1244. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the Advisory Statute, House Bill 1202 as amended, House Bill 1197 as amended, House Bill 1042 as amended, House Bill 1191 as amended, House Bill 1221 as amended, House Bill 1114 as amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 55, 49, 53, and 2.
Message from the Reviser. After this last message from the House.
March 9, 2015, Mr. President, the House has adopted the first report of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 85 as printed in the House Journal on March 5th and has repassed the bill as so amended. The bill is returned herewith.
Message from the Reviser.
March 9, 2015, we hear the transmit without comment, House Bill 1244 without comment as amended, House Bills 1042, 1114, 1191, 1197, 1202, and 1221.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that the Senate proceed out of order for purposes of hearing moments of personal privilege.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The Senate will proceed out of order. Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Colleagues, we have some very special guests with us this morning, and I'd like to ask them to stand one by one as I read off their names, and then we will all recognize and welcome them. These are the county clerks from our counties who run our elections and do a lot of work on our behalf behind the scenes. So I would like to start with my county commissioner, or county clerk, Faye Griffin from Jefferson County. We have Stan Martin from Adams County. Maybe, I didn't see Stan. Matt Crane from Arapahoe. Lori Mitchell from Chaffee County. Patricia Doherty from Cheyenne. Merlin Klotz from Douglas County. Chuck Broerman from El Paso County. Dallas Schroeder from Elbert County. Nancy Cruz from Huerfano County. Delisa Weeks from Kiowa. Susan Corliss, Kit Carson County. Angela Myers, Larimer County. Peach Vigil, Los Animas County. Kim Purcell, Montezuma County. Tressa Gines, Montrose County. Susan Bailey, Morgan County. Kim Bonner from my home county, Routt. Carla Gomez from Saguache. Crystal Brown, Teller County. And Carla Copps from Weld County. If I missed any other clerks, please stand up. We didn't have you on our list, but we're glad to have you there this morning. And colleagues, help me welcome them today.
Okay. Senator Crowder.
Thank you. A moment of personal privilege, Mr. President.
Granted.
I would like to take this time. We also have some other guests here in the gallery I'd like to tell you about, and these are the optometrists from the state of Colorado. They're from throughout the state. In fact, I met a few this morning, retired Air Force and also still active Air Force that were optometrists for the military. But, you know, Senator Newell and I would like to welcome you to the Capitol, and we thank you for all your services you do to your patients, which almost includes all of us. You know, my personal eye optometrist is from Monte Vista, Dr. Hersing, but Senator Newell will give a little talk, and then at that time we will welcome you. But I sure do appreciate you coming to the Capitol today. Thank you.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too rise in support of the optometrists today, because most of us, if we haven't yet, then we probably will over the next few years, really need an optometrist. And it is not a partisan issue. It is definitely one of those human issues that touches all of us. So thank you so much for the work that you do on a daily basis. And thank you so much for being here in the Senate chamber today.
Senator Newell, I'm not sure if having the optometrist here dispels the rumors about us or confirms them, but welcome them.
If the optometrists will please stand so we can welcome you. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader. Any more?
I think we're good. Thank you, Mr. President. I would request that Senate Bill 122 be removed from the third reading of bills consent calendar and added to the third reading of bills calendar.
Senate Bill 122 will be added to the third reading of bills calendar, which takes us to third reading of bills consent. Mr. Majors, please read the title of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar.
House Bill 1092 by Representative Lovesaw, Senators Martinez, Jimenez, and Gonzalez concerning the transparency of Title 32 Colorado Revised Statute Special Districts. House Bill 1192 by Representative Becker Kay and Senator Neville concerning the ability of specified establishments licensed to serve alcohol beverages for on-premises consumption to become part of an entertainment district authorized by a local government. House Bill 1117 by Representative Windholz and Senator Guzman concerning the clarification of the application of the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act to the conduct of the internal affairs of domestic entities. House Bill 1060 by Representative Hamner and Senator Cook concerning protection orders in sex offense cases. House Bill 1122 by Representative Fields and Senator Cook concerning limiting eligibility for parole and in connection therewith amending certain provisions concerning the revocation of parole for certain inmates.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt all the bills on the third reading of bills for final passage consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1092, House Bill 1192, House Bill 1117, House Bill 1060, and House Bill 1122.
Is there further discussion on any of the bills listed on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Are there any no votes on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1092 is adopted. Co-sponsors. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1192 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Kafalis. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1117 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Aguilar. Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1060 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Woods, Senator Roberts, Senator John. Senator Martinez Jimenez, Senator Lambert, Senator Todd, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1122 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Roberts, General Order, second reading of bills. The one. Belay that. The gavel was for third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 122.
Senate Bill 122 by Senator Newell and Representative Moreno concerning the continuation of the regulation of massage parlors in connection therewith repealing the regulation of massage parlors.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members. I move Senate Bill 122 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion. Minority Leader Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, just very briefly, 122 is the bill deregulating the portion of statute addressing massage parlors. Current statute is not a statewide regulation of massage parlors. This is a provision that Dora recommended could go because it's sort of allowing local governments to get grants to regulate them if they want. I pulled it off of consent because the issue it raises is that it is fundamentally concerning to me that we have zero statewide regulation of massage parlors, and in the survey of what went out to the locals, they did find a very high correlation not just with prostitution at massage parlors, but with human trafficking. So while we do regulate individual massage therapists, what we are finding is that we are aware now of the fact that the state has zero statewide regulation of massage parlors, again, a known issue with prostitution and trafficking. And so it was for that reason that I pulled it off of consent, which Senate Bill 122, either way, doesn't necessarily address, but it did raise the issue for us that we might want to be aware of going forward. Thank you.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 122? Are there any no votes? Senator Carroll? With 34 ayes, Senator Jones? No votes on Senate Bill 122. With 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 122 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Stedman, Senator Todd, Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would request that Senate Bill 46 be removed from the General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar and added to the end of the General Order's second reading of bills calendar.
Senate Bill 46 will be removed from the consent calendar and placed the end of the General Order's second reading of bills calendar, which takes us to General Order's second reading of bills consent. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of General Orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Baumgardner will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rules relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of all the bills on the General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1012 by Representative Baker J. and Senator Sonnenberg concerning sales and use tax exemption for dyed diesel. House Bill 1207 by Representative Melton and Senator Todd concerning the use of earphones while driving. House Bill 1032 by Representative Singer and Senator Aguilar concerning the addition of licensed mental health professionals as authorized providers of mental health services to minors who are at least 15 years of age.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the committee adopt all the bills on the General Order second reading of bills consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1012, House Bill 1207, and House Bill 1032. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am a no vote on House Bill 1032. I'm sorry, I ask that it be removed.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of all the bills on the second reading of the consent calendar signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The bills are adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We shall rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met, and I lost my place. Sorry, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. There has been a number of bills on consideration, and I ask that the report be read.
March 10, 2015, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basically reports that in consideration of the following tax bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1012, House Bill 1207, House Bill 1032, passed on second reading in order to revise, placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Baumgartner,
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the report.
you heard the motion. Any discussion on the committee of the whole report? Are there any no votes? 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. The committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 15, 1012, 1207, 1032 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of general order, second reading of bills calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Baumgartner will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 137?
Senate Bill 137 by Senator Balmer and Representatives Del Grosso and Janal concerning business entities permitted to provide the program of all-inclusive care for the elderly.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move Senate Bill 137 and the Business Committee report.
To the report, Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, the Business Committee report simply double underlines that HCPF will have continual oversight to guarantee compliance with state and federal requirements. I move the adoption of the committee report.
Is there any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, committee report's adopted. Yes, ma'am. Oh, all in favor of the committee report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Committee report's adopted. Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, members, it's my honor to present to you Senate Bill 137. This bill did pass the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee unanimously. However, a member did object to it going on the consent calendar, and so it's my honor to make this presentation. Senate Bill 137 makes a slight change to the the type of entity that is allowed to participate in the federal PACE program. Right now, the only type of entity from a business organization standpoint that's allowed to participate is a nonprofit. This bill simply opens that up and expands it to include public, private, nonprofit, and for-profit. The purpose of that is to give flexibility to providers to be able to better utilize both the PACE program and also come alongside it with private investors to expand opportunities for elderly people. Members, I ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 137 and hope that the outcome is the same as it was in committee, which was a unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members, I want to thank Senator Balmer for his work and for his openness to accepting a potential amendment on this bill. The amendment that we were drafting, however, is a little bit more complicated, and we've agreed to do it in the House of Representatives. The one thing we wanted to be sure of was that those entities that became for-profit had some accounting for the conversion of any remaining funds to be sure they stayed in a not-for-profit sphere, helping the same population. And so I thank you, Senator Balmer, for being open to that amendment, which I understand will happen in the House. And I won't be a yes until that happens, but I want to thank you for your willingness to do that.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Indeed, I want to thank Senator Aguilar for her grace, and we will definitely look forward to the excellent work of the House on that aspect of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 137? Seeing none. The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 137. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 137 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 135?
Senate Bill 135 by Senators Martinez, Jimenez, and John concerning modifications to statutory provisions governing urban redevelopment affecting public bodies in connection with urban renewal projects.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move that Senate Bill 135 lay over to March 13.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 137 to March 14. Friday the 13th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill, or Senate Bill 135 will lay over till Friday the 13th. Mr. Majors, please read the title of House Bill 1078.
House Bill 1078 by Representatives Nordberg and McCain and Senators John and Woods concerning immediate reporting of missing children who are in the custody of state agencies to law enforcement for inclusion in national crime databases.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, my friend from Wheat Ridge, and I are privileged to bring this morning Senate Bill 135. 1078. You're right. It's House Bill 1078. Thank you. I don't want to talk about urban renewal. House Bill 1078. And so we move this bill, and there is no associated committee report.
There is no committee report. Okay. So to the bill, Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this is a very important bill because what we're doing with this bill is requiring state agencies, county agencies who are in custody of foster children to report those children missing to the law enforcement, the CBI, who will then report it to the FBI, who will then report it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as soon as they go missing. Within 24 hours, no delays. What we heard in the hearing was that this group of children are the most vulnerable to be sucked into human trafficking. And the FBI came and testified in our hearing that of 94 children they had rescued from human trafficking, 29 of them had come from the foster care system. So it's over 30% of those kids they rescued last year were from the foster care system. So that's what our bill does. And I'll defer to my colleague to add her thoughts.
Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have to tell you, it was really kind of sad that we had to bring legislation at all to do this. Sometimes you really feel like the foster care world just gets treated very differently, almost like second-class citizens. And all we're doing is adding them to the statutes that exist for other missing children. And so the other thing that you all need to know is that the federal government has also passed regulation that will be taking effect, I think, in another 2 years. So we're simply saying that, guess what? Foster care kids count. And they're just as important as every other child in the state of Colorado. So would very much appreciate your support on the bill. And it was unanimous coming out of committee.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1078. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to rise in support of this real important bill. It is getting us into compliance with the federal act that came out a couple of years ago, but it is so important that people understand that in Colorado, this is a serious issue with those youth who are in foster care who truly are neglected all over again by the system that they are in. They get into the system because they're abused and neglected or orphaned, and yet even in the system, they are often neglected. So they are twice as likely to end up incarcerated, twice as likely to not graduate from high school, and 2% of them only graduate from college. They end up pregnant the women end up pregnant from within 2 years after coming out of foster care. So if we can catch some of these who are being unfortunately trafficked, which are often the case, then we are doing a better job of helping those kids who have been having a system as a parent. So thank you so much. Both of my colleagues from the Western Jeffco, and thank you so much. I rise in support of whatever bill number this is. Thank you.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate the bill being the sponsors bringing this forward. However, I have one question. I think one of the problems that we have within our system right now, we have a lot of people, and we've had several bills that we've discussed this year regarding the foster care system and the deficiencies that we've seen in this. But one of the things, I guess a question I have for either of the sponsors, I don't see any kind of penalty or enforcement in this bill. And so I'm concerned that those people that are involved in this system that should be watching out for these foster children, what happens if they don't comply with this bill?
Senator John.
Right now, there are a lot of rules and regulations around foster care, and so they already have to report to the counties. They already have to report to whatever county that they're following within. And so, I mean, I'm not trying to make this punitive. However, if they're not following rules, there's already methods in place within our county systems to address the things that are going on. There's a lot of things that can go on in foster care. And it's through the process of the counties that we have the rules and stuff in place if they do not follow the rules. And this will be added to the rules. They'll have to follow up and do a phone call immediately or within 24 hours.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And one of the things we did here at committee was, that's in the rules in another part. This bill only applies to our little part of the rules. And so we did hear that in the testimony.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I'm still not, so if you're a foster parent and you're receiving dollars from the taxpayers to take care of that foster child, and you've been entrusted with that foster child, or you're a member of the system who is responsible for reporting this, and you don't, what happens at that point? Where is the responsibility, and as the legislature, because what I'm hearing is that it's all in place in the system. However, if it's in place in the system, apparently the system's not working right now. So if you could clarify that for me, what is the penalty for those people for noncompliance?
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 10, or House Bill 1078. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1078 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1075.
House Bill 1075 by Representative Janelle and Senator Crowder.
Senator Crowder.
Authority for a registered naturopathic doctor to treat children who are under 2 years of age.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1075 forward.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a very simple bill. This is a naturopathic doctor bill. And what this does is, if you recall, in the recent past, we passed legislation to allow naturopathic to care for children up to above the age of 2. What this bill does is it removes that restriction down to care for those children under 2 years old with the following provisions. It provides the child's parents with a current recommended immunization schedule. They have to complete 5 hours of education per year and training. Require the children's parent to sign an informed consent that they are providing those services. And also refer the child to a licensed pediatric health care provider, a physician or advanced practice nurse. I think that as a good doctor that's getting ready to come up will testify, I think this will give opportunity to those parents who refuse to go to a medical doctor. At least we'll have some care for them. I think it is a good bill, and I would ask for your support on this. Thank you.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1075? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. This bill did pass unanimously out of the Health Committee, and I want to thank Senator Crowder and the naturopathic doctors for the work they did on this bill with the Medical Society, the pediatricians, and the Children's Hospital. I do want to mention, in addition to the stipulations Senator Crowder mentioned, that the naturopathic doctor needs to develop and execute a written collaborative agreement with a licensed physician who's a doctor specializing in family medicine or pediatrics, and that they are giving families informed consent that they are not a licensed medical doctor. They're referring them to licensed doctors, and they're trying to collaborate with pediatricians who are taking care of the child whenever possible. I think this is a good faith effort on the part of the naturopathic doctors, and I thought we heard some pretty compelling testimony in committee from some NDs who had patients who just weren't willing to see a licensed physician, and they themselves, the NDs, were giving immunizations, recommending immunizations and helping refer them to make that relationship. And so I think there are great guardrails in here, and I rise in support of House Bill 1075.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1075? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1075. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. House Bill 1075 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 178.
Senate Bill 178 by Senator Newell and Representative Danielson concerning the continuation of the Colorado Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of 2014 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 178, continuing the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. And members, you received a fact sheet just this morning on it. It basically is a commission that's purpose was originally to centralize the provision of services, especially for those required by the American Disabilities Act, to deaf and hard of hearing people. However, over time, we have seen an expansion of that scope to include helping state and local governmental agencies learn about how to provide access of the deaf and hard of hearing to their local and state governments. We, in working on this with the deaf and hard of hearing community and the commission members, and also the deaf-blind community, it was amazing to hear some of the stories that are still happening with regard to access to people's own government. And meaning that a few years ago, I think it was in 2009, we were hearing people who were deaf or hard of hearing literally in a courtroom without an interpreter. And they had no idea what was going on around them, and yet they were a party of the court cases going on. So at that point in time, we gave them more resources through a system navigator who could help getting those services to those people. Now, what we have for the sunset is that it does require the commission to do an annual report to the governor and to the legislature, because we need to get more visibility to this issue, that it is truly an issue that's affecting our not only populations of deaf and hard of hearing, but to all of us who are in state and local governments. And then also it limits the commissioners' terms to 2 consecutive 4-year terms. It repeals the requirement of the Senate confirmations, and it clarifies that the commission also serves persons who are deaf and blind. 80% of the population of deaf blind people are unemployed, and so this is one of the issues that we want to make sure that we support them with. So because of over time the scope has expanded for the commission for good reason, the commission members and the community have asked for the commission to be relocated in a place that has higher visibility and greater access to all of the state and local agencies. As an example, they helped with the Department of Labor and Employment to avoid going to litigation because of helping them have access to their government to these people in the community. So with that, I ask for an aye vote and for Senate Bill 178.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 178. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 178 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1144.
House Bill 1144 by Representative Primavera and Senator Todd concerning the prohibition of synthetic plastic microbeads in personal care products.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move House Bill 1144.
Please proceed.
Thank you. House Bill 1144 is a bill that prohibits the production, the sale, and the manufacturing or promotion of personal care products or over-the-counter drugs that contain synthetic plastic microbeads. This bill phases in that prohibition between January 1st, 2018 and January 1st, 2020. The Department of Public Health and Environment may pursue civil penalties between $1,000 and $10,000 for anyone who violates this prohibition. The amount of the penalty will be determined by the district court in the judicial district where that actual violation occurs. We heard from the Personal Care Products Council. I believe you all received a letter on your desk this morning that shares their willingness and their urgency of wanting to comply and to remove microbeads from personal care products. We heard from the Colorado Retail Council that the amount of time that needs to be allocated for it to be phased out is a reasonable amount of time. Some of the companies have already started that. Johnson & Johnson kind of took the lead, but many of the other companies are on board, and they believe that this period of time will allow for them to phase those products out. We heard from the Colorado Water Congress and Denver Water in terms of the concern about what these non-biodegradable products cause in the water filtration systems. And we heard from the wastewater reclamation district. And all of these people have worked so closely together to make sure that this is a necessity. The bill actually came from Council of State Governments, where there was much discussion, and many other states have already come on board and said this is a responsible thing to do. And we know that exfoliant to cleanse the skin is important, but we can find other biodegradable products to replace those plastic microbeads. With that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 151144.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, there was not unanimous opinion on this bill in committee. I voted no. And I believe it's my responsibility to tell you why I voted no. I want to give you a little bit of a concept of the scope of this problem, which I consider to be microscopic. But I mean that in a literal sense, not just that these are small beads, but if you consider the literally billions of gallons of water that water treatment plants deal with, we are talking about a very tiny fraction of an infinitesimal part of a very tiny percentage of what's really being dealt with here. And the greatest evidence I found in just Googling microbeads and looking for, so what's the problem, was that they actually found, shock of all shock, some microbeads within fish in Lake Superior. These were not fish that died of microbeads. These are just fish that evidence that, yes, in fact, they can ingest these plastic beads, along with silt, mud, rocks, and everything else that fish eat. In terms of water treatment, I did not find any compelling information from either the potable water treatment plants nor those who are treating water to be returned into the stream flows that this was a significant problem. This is much to do about virtually nothing. And I find it inappropriate for us to be, oh yes, I should mention this as well. And that is the manufacturers are, in fact, stopping production on this because they have run into some legal problems with some very extreme perspectives on how our environment is treated. And so rather than continue to use these products, they're phasing them out as quickly as they can. This bill actually acknowledges that timeline, but I don't believe that we should be rushing to outlaw everything that somebody has a concern with somewhere. First, there should be a demonstrated problem, and if you do the research, and this is what I would ask you to do, if you're going to support this bill, do the research and figure it out for yourself. Where is the problem? Not that some expert who has some legal problem, but let's talk about the science and the technology and the actual exposure to something. It's not there. It is not there. There is so little of this stuff out in the environment compared to a handful of silt and sand that you'll find at the bottom of every stream bed that is the real exposure fish have. And guess what? That's their environment. That's what they were created to live within. I don't see a problem here. I'm a no vote.
Senator Martinez-Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I would just like to remind folks that those of us that have communities with water utility treatment plants have to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to make sure that the water that is being provided to their residents and to the other farmers, et cetera, that are downstream and make it clean. And so microbeads, as well as any of these other particles that were just talked about, cause a lot more expense to these communities in the filtration of their water systems. So the fact that the industry themselves is in favor of removing these from their products, I think speaks volumes. So I just would like my colleagues to remember that those water utilities in Colorado have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars each year to make sure that the drinking water is safe and that the water that's put back for farmers and other folks downstream is also safe. I'm actually a yes vote.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it's very true that our water plants need to filter the water. It has always been true. For all the years that microbeads have been out there, it's been true. That's not going to go away. We're not going to outlaw sand. We're not going to outlaw silt. I guess unless that's a bill that comes in next year. This is a bill that is, as my senator friend from Larimer County said, is much ado about nothing, and it sets a precedent for more bills every year, much ado about nothing. These microbeads are not a danger to people, and here's the most frustrating thing. This is already self-correcting. So the sponsors of this bill said, well, let's pass a law. We know that they're going to basically phase these out, but let's pass a law. Now, I want you to think about that. I'm a no vote.
Further discussion. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wrestled with this bill harder than any bill that I've had to date. The very idea of our facial cream, if the ladies had to give the beads up, would that affect the beauty of the ladies in which we deal with on a daily basis? I say, my fellow Americans, I was assured that it would not. So therefore, I will be a yes vote on this. I do believe the industry came forward in droves and indicated that they would like to quit making this, but the beauty of the ladies in which we deal with is a real factor to me, and I struggled with this, but I am going to be a yes vote. And I hope this is the right vote, because I want the ladies to stay pretty. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Crowder. Senator Todd.
Thank you, thank you. And I think some of you probably read the editorial that was in the Denver Post, but the very first thing that they made very clear is that, yes, industry representatives want to ban microbeads, but they want this to be done nationwide so that it isn't something in Colorado, something in Nebraska, something in Kansas, but that there is a consistency across the nation. And even though domestic companies may all be united in getting these products off of the shelves, a sales ban is necessary for it to actually happen. And so right now we have some companies that are voluntarily doing that, and other companies that will follow the lead, and other companies that might be a little bit more resistant until they see that it has actually been banned and it will happen. So with that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1144.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1144. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. Bill is passed. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 173.
Senate Bill 173 by Senator Holbert and Representative Pabon concerning expanding protections for student data security.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move that Senate Bill 173 lay over to March 16.
You've heard the motion to lay Senate Bill 173 over to March 16th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, say no. Senate Bill 173 will lay over till March 16th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 183.
Senate Bill 183 by Senators Hodge and Sonnenberg concerning the quantification of the historical consumptive use of water right.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move that Senate Bill 183 lay over to March 13.
You've heard the motion. Senate Bill 183 lay over to March 13th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 183 will lay over till March 13th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 46.
Senate Bill 46 by Senator Grantham and Representative Moreno concerning reducing the cost of attainment of renewable energy standards by electric utilities that are not investor-owned and in connection therewith allowing purchases of electricity from community solar gardens by cooperative electric associations to qualify as a retail distributed generation.
Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 15-046 and the associated Ag Committee report.
Do the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it brief on the committee report. It is essentially the bill, but essentially what it does is it allows the electrical cooperatives to count the electricity generated by the community solar gardens toward their retail distributed generation carve-out. It also allows them to calculate the total retail distributed generation mandate using a formula that is total retail sales less the industrial retail sales, and we'll explain that probably a little bit more when we get into the meat of the bill, because that is at the heart of what this bill is doing and what we are trying to make possible for the cooperatives to be able to accomplish in regards to the Senate Bill 252 mandate. And I would ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, you've heard the motion, the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Committee report's adopted. To the bill, Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just realized that talking about the committee report, one of the other things that it did is it removed the 3x multiplier also that we had in the original language, and so that is no longer part of the bill now. The adoption of the committee report, folks. What this is doing, what we had was a significant issue with the cooperatives after the passage of 252, and this is a tweak. This is something that we've had a significant stakeholder process on. Had a lot of work over the last couple of months, getting this to a point where we could have some agreement from two very divergent sides of this issue. It wasn't easy, and it's certainly not the perfect solution by either side's imagination, but it is a solution. And it's helpful, and it gets us to a place where those that were having the most issues with getting across that line in trying to meet some of those mandates in the carve-out, this makes it possible for them to actually do that. And this is a victory of sorts for both sides, where we still have those that want the X amount of renewable energy to be able to be used, even in the co-ops across the rural parts of the state. That is still accomplished with this. And for those of us that want to help out the cooperatives, those in rural Colorado, and be able to save them on their bill, be able to make it possible for them to meet law and not have a necessarily that much larger power bill at the end of the day, we win there too. This is one of those few, I think, that is a win-win. And I think we're fortunate to be able to actually occasionally come to some of those agreements where we have those little victories. What we're doing here with Senate Bill 46, just to give you the bigger picture here, when we look at the renewable energy mandate that we saw from a couple years ago, there is a mandate of the overall percentage of renewable energy that must be generated by or purchased by the electrical cooperatives. Mandate that we see there is 1% of the renewable energy standard, and it must be generated from the distributed generation. And what we see there is a further breakdown of that percentage of what must happen on the retail side of the meter and what must happen on the wholesale side of the meter. And part of the problem was the amount that was required of some of these extremely small cooperatives to generate on the retail side of the meter. That means on the side of the meter that's to the house. Some of these cooperatives have such a large industrial load that it made it nearly impossible for these smaller cooperatives to meet the mandate on the retail side because they just don't have enough rooftops in their cooperatives in order to meet those mandates. So they could put solar panels on every single rooftop in every single house in their cooperatives, and they wouldn't be able to meet it. This allows those to be counted. The solar gardens, on the wholesale side of the meter, to be counted towards that requirement of the 50% of the retail distributed generation. Allowing that gets them that much farther down the road to being able to meet the mandate, and also being able to calculate, like I said during the committee report discussion, being able to use the total retail sales less the industrial retail sales, which is part of the issue that we ran into with some of the smaller cooperatives. When they have such large industrial part of their sales, it made it impossible for them to meet it on the retail side and on the residential side. Folks, this bill is a win, no doubt about it. Do I assume that we're all, gung-ho about, everything? Of course not, because there are certain things we'd like, there are certain things you'd like. But folks, we've come a little ways back in, and we've drawn it back in a little bit where it's workable for those out in the rural cooperatives, and we can count that as a victory. I would ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 46? Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I also ask for a yes vote on this bill. As it originally written, I had real problems with this bill, but a lot of people worked really hard to kind of come to an agreement, a compromise that made sense, and I think with the amendment, it's gotten there. There were REAs out there with high industrial load that would have had trouble meeting the distributed generation requirements passed a few years ago. And this is a fairly creative solution to come up with an answer to that using solar gardens. Is this perfect? No. The small wind people don't like it because they're not part of it. Does it reduce rooftop solar? Possibly a little bit. But the bottom line is it keeps the ball rolling. So while it's not perfect, I ask for a yes vote, and I appreciate the sponsor. I ask for this to come off the consent calendar just because I think this is a big deal after Senate Bill 252, that we're working through issues like we often do with legislation after the fact, figuring out how do we make this best work. And I think this bill is in that vein, and ask for a yes vote.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do rise in support of SB 46, and as my colleagues have said, this is a win. It was a really neat process to participate in, and it really reaffirmed of what I think can be done here when we all coalesce around a problem. We had a problem that was identified by our constituents, and that was that they were, because of unique circumstances, having a hard time of meeting the solar requirements or renewable energies in their systems. An idea was thrown out on how to possibly solve that problem that our constituents were experiencing it. And then different groups, parties, and interests came together and had very frank and honest discussions of how to work on the original solution that was introduced. And then after many broad stakeholder meetings, we came together on the bill that you guys see in front of you that has broad support. It also did identify some gaps in our system that we will continue to work on, and I think there is an overall commitment from the stakeholders that were in those room that we'll continue to work on some of those gaps that were identified by the discussions that we had. This was a broad stakeholder process with great discussion on how to solve a real-world issue. This is a common-sense solution that continues to support our renewable energies, and I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 46? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 46. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 46 is passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, please read the report.
March 10, 2015, Mr. President, your committee, the whole page reports that under consideration the following tax bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 137 as amended, Senate Bill 178, Senate Bill 46 as amended, passed on second reading in order to engross, place on count for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1078, House Bill 1075, House Bill 1144, passed on second reading in order to revise, place on count for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 135, Senate Bill 183, laid over until March 13, 2015, retaining their place on the calendar. Senate Bill 173, laid over until March 16, 2015, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the report.
Is there any discussion on the committee of the whole report? Are there any no votes? 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. The committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 137 as amended, Senate Bill 178, Senate Bill 46 as amended, passed on second reading in order to engross and place on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1078, House Bill 1075, House Bill 1144 passed on second reading in order to revise and place on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 135 and Senate Bill 183 laid over until March 13th and retaining their place on the calendar. Senate Bill 173 laid over until March 16th and retaining its place on the calendar. Message from the House.
March 10, 2015, Mr. President, the House has adopted and transmits herewith House Joint Resolution 1015 as printed in the House Journal, March 10th.
Introduction and consideration of resolutions.
House Joint Resolution 1015 by Representatives Lawrence and Primavera and Senator Lundberg concerning the designation of May 1st, 2015 as National Purebred Dog Day in Colorado.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Joint Resolution 1015. And I do not ask that it be read in length, but I would like the opportunity to give some description to the members.
Continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this is concerning the designation of May 1st, 2015 as National Purebred Dog Day in Colorado. And we have some of those purebred dogs here with us in the back of the chamber. And whereas I didn't ask that it be read in length, let me just give you a couple of parts to the resolution because it captures it, I believe it very well. Whereas purebred dogs are working dogs, serving as avalanche dogs, trackers and trailers, herders, controllers of vermin, water rescuers, carting and sled dogs, retrievers, protectors, hunters, and bird dogs, and always they are the heartbeat of a companion near and dear to humans. And whereas all dogs should be valued, whatever their ancestry, but the purpose-bred dog and the predictability of its breed should be cherished and preserved. And whereas each breed is indelibly etched in the history of the culture that created it, just as surely as that culture's music, art, and language. And then the resolution goes on to establish a purebred Dog Day in Colorado, as well as simply acknowledge not only those breeds, but those people and those organizations that have been so integral to ensuring that, the breeds of dogs that have been developed through the centuries and indeed the millennia are preserved and protected in our culture and in our country. You know, when I was a small child, I looked around, I wanted a dog. And so I opened up the encyclopedia and looked through the breeds that were out there, and I decided that a golden retriever was just perfect for me. And I've got to tell you, I'm on my 4th golden, and they're still just perfect for me. I appreciate that, and so many of you I know have had similar experiences. We're just taking a few minutes to honor those people who have spent so much of their lives in preserving these valuable creatures and in developing the breeds into such a wide variety. And I want to point out one other thing about this. There are over 100 clubs in Colorado. There are over 5,000 dog breeding clubs in the country, and they aren't run by the government. They work perfectly well on their own. These are individual citizens who have chosen this as their lifestyle, and I very much appreciate the fact that we don't have to regulate this as much as just acknowledge that this is working very well, and therefore I urge the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1015 and invite you all to go say hi to some of these beautiful breeds that are and their owners that are with us today as well. Oh, and a little footnote. You have, unless you already ate it, a few cookies on your desk. Now, the one with chocolate is not for your dog. The ones that look like a dog bone, you can decide who gets it. But don't feed the chocolate to your dog, okay? With that, Mr. President, I renew my call for the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1015.
Is there further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1015? Are there any no votes? 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. House Joint Resolution 1015 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Marble, Senator Scheffel, Senator Scott, Senator Martinez-Humenic, Senator Aguilar, Senator Crowder, Senator Guzman, Senator Merrifield, Senator John, Senator Neville, Senator Newell, Senator Roberts, Senator Donovan, Senator Hodge, Senator Kafalis, Senator Todd, Senator Grantham, Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Kerr, Senator Stedman, Senator Garcia, the gentleman in back, Senator Woods, Senator Crowder, Senator Heath, Senator Lambert. Co-sponsors, this is it. Majority Leader Scheffel. You can request anything you want. Please add the president. It's never too late to add your name as a co-sponsor on your own when you speak with the secretary. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Mr. Majors, please read all of the appointments on the consent calendar.
Members of the Colorado Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing for terms expiring July 1st, 2018. Mary Pat Graham Kelly of Lakewood, Colorado, serves as a member who is deaf, reappointed. Kirk B. Newroth of Denver, Colorado, serves as a member who is an interpreter for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, reappointed. Member of the Charter School Institute Board, effective July 1st, 2014, for terms expiring July 1st, 2017. Elizabeth Dina Ibar Conti of Denver, Colorado, a Democrat who has experience as a public school teacher and as a public school administrator working with charter schools, appointed. Members of the Colorado Commission on Higher Education for terms expiring July 1st, 2018. Venetia B. Kerr of Aurora, Colorado, a resident of the 6th Congressional District and a Democrat, appointed. Paula E. Sandoval of Denver, Colorado, resident of the 1st Congressional District and a Democrat, appointed. Members of the Board of Trustees for the University of Northern Colorado for terms expiring December 31st, 2018. Shane Cato Cruz of Monument, Colorado, serves as an unaffiliated, appointed. Kelly Marie Johnson, PhD, RN, MSN, NEA, BC, CRRN of Parker, Colorado, serves as an unaffiliated, appointed. Members of the Groundwater Commission for a term expiring May 1st, 2016. Carolyn F. Burr of Denver, Colorado, serves as a representative of municipal or industrial users, reappointed for term expiring May 1st, 2017. Mark Christopher Arnish of Keensburg, Colorado, serves as a resident agriculturalist from the Lost Creek Basin, appointed for term expiring May 1st, 2018. Virgil Francisco Valdez of Alamosa, Colorado, serves as a representative from Water Division 3 and as an agriculturalist, reappointed. Member of the Coal Mine Board of Examiners for term expiring July 1st, 2016. John Carroll Polis, P.E. of Paonia, Colorado, serves as a Colorado mine owner, operator, manager, or other mine official actively engaged in the underground coal mining industry during the term of office and occasioned by the resignation of Justin Kenneth Evans of Crawford, Colorado, appointed. Members of the Parks and Wildlife Commission for a term expiring July 1st, 2015. John Vincent Howard of Boulder, Colorado, as a representative of sports persons and occasioned by the resignation of Gasper Perricone of Denver, Colorado, appointed. For terms expiring July 1st, 2018. The Honorable Robert Dean Wingfield of Vernon, Colorado, as a representative of agriculture, reappointed. Alexander Marcus Zip of Pueblo, Colorado, as a representative of sports persons, appointed. Dale E. Peisel of Creed, Colorado, as a member at large, appointed. Members of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee, effective December 31st, 2014, for terms expiring December 31st, 2018. Thomas Dwayne Bracia of Durango, Colorado, a sports person, appointed. Luke B. Schaefer of Craig, Colorado, a representative of a national or regionally recognized conservation organization whose mission is focused on non-game wildlife and whose membership is composed primarily of non-game wildlife users, reappointed. Kelly D. Van Cleve of Fort Collins, Colorado, a sports person, reappointed.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate confirm all of the governor's appointments listed on the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, which includes members of the Colorado Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, a member of the Charter School Institute Board, members of the Colorado Commission on Higher Education, members of the Board of Trustees for the University of Northern Colorado, members of the Groundwater Commission, member of the Coal Mine Board of Examiners, and members of the Parks and Wildlife Commission, and members of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee.
Is there any discussion on any of the governor's appointments on the consent calendar? Are there any no votes on any of the appointments? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Mary Pat Graham Kelly and Kirk B. Newroth are confirmed on the Colorado Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Elizabeth Dina Abar Conti is confirmed on the Charter School Institute Board. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Benicia B. Kerr and the Honorable Paula E. Sandoval are confirmed on the Colorado Commission on Higher Education. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Shane Cato Cruz and Kelly Marie Johnston are confirmed on the Board of Trustees for the University of Northern Colorado. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Carolyn F. Burr, Mark Christopher Arnish, Virgil Francisco Valdez are confirmed on the Groundwater Commission. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, John Carol Paulos is confirmed on the Coal Mine Board of Examiners. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, John Vincent Howard, the Honorable Robert Dean Wingfield, Alexander Marcus Zip, and Dale E. Peisel are confirmed on the Parks and Wildlife Commission. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Thomas Dwayne Brosia, Luke B. Schaefer, and Kelly D. Van Cleve are confirmed on the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee. Conference committees to report.
First report of First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 85. This report amends the re-revised bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee reported on Senate Bill 85 concerning the expansion of the Colorado Cottage Foods Act and in connection therewith increasing the net revenue a producer can earn under the Act has met and reports that it is agreed upon the following: that the Senate accede to the House amendments made to the bill as the amendment appears in the re-revised bill with the following change. Respectfully submitted, Senators Martinez Jimenez as chairman, Crowder and Ulibarri, Representatives Winters as chairman, Buck and Kraftharp.
Message from the House.
March 10, 2015, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, House Bills 1175, 1213, 1254, and 1183. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, House Bill 1095 as amended, House Bill 1211 as amended, House Bill 1104 as amended, House Bill 1225 as amended, House Bill 1217 as amended, House Bill 1026 as amended, House Bill 1133 as amended, House Bill 1149 as amended, House Bill 1153 as amended, House Bill 1223 as amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 43, 51, 71, and 111. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, Senate Bill 47 as amended, Senate Bill 13 as amended.
Did it? Announcements. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. You might have remember we had the optometrist here this morning, so I wanted to make sure that you see that there are cookies back here, that the optometrist wanted to make sure that you had seen that there are cookies in the back that they provided for the Senate. So go see what they look like.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, last September I had the wonderful opportunity to take a trip to Turkey with the Mosaic Foundation. And Turkey is really quite an amazing country that literally sits on the cusp of the Middle East and Europe and is a secular form of government. They have Islam there, but they're a secular government. Anyway, we are honored today to have a table and display from the Mosaic Foundation. It is across between the elevators here on the second floor. They also have information on an upcoming trip they're offering to Turkey. And if you have not had the opportunity to do this, I would strongly encourage you to do so. So please visit our friends from the Mosaic Foundation. Their goal actually is peaceful coexistence, and they're here between the elevators.
Further announcements. Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have been asked to, and I'm a little uncomfortable with this being a male model today, for our new logo that you can have embroidered on anything you would like. The website, you guys all got copies of that website, and I believe we have a deadline March 15th to do like a combined order where the freight costs are much cheaper, of course, because it'll be one big bulk order. But you can order anytime you want to, of course. Tomorrow I will wear some other attire that I've ordered that is very appropriate for the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for that commercial announcement. Further announcement, Senator Newell, anything today? Oh, how did I know? Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have an announcement that I don't have an announcement today.
Excellent.
You good? What? You do it funny.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to affirm the sartorial splendor of the good senator from another part of the state of Colorado.
Excellent. 63rd day. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adjourn to 9 a.m. Wednesday, March 11.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The Senate will be adjourned until 9 a.m. Wednesday, March 11th. Thanks.